Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto discovered the Kyuubi before entering the Ninja Academy and got Harem Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. When Naruto heard that the exam would be on Bunshin techniques, he nearly laughed. He was no longer a child. The Kyuubi's dark wisdom had aged him years beyond his own. The Bunshin technique was somewhat difficult for the kids of his age, Naruto knew. What made him laugh was that it seemed to be a perfectly reasonable test of ability to the Academy's sensei. Like, if they could do a Bunshin technique, being a ninja would suddenly fall into place and everything would go smoothly. Naruto knew it was slightly ridiculous to think this way, but he couldn't help it. Every student was so hopeful and happy about their future of being a shinobi, and despite himself, Naruto was slightly angry he couldn't keep to the same delusions. So instead of worrying over the exam, he turned his attention to his classmates. Which ones would be on his team? He couldn't help but hope it wasn't Uchiha Sasuke. The so-called genius had always gotten on his nerves, mainly because he seemed to glide along on his reputation alone without doing any real work or training. It didn't help that he was loved and acknowledged by all. But now that he thought about it, Sasuke wasn't the worst that could happen. Yamanaka Ino was by far the most obnoxious girl Naruto had ever met. She complained about everything. Not only did she complain constantly, she did so in a loud whiny voice that made Naruto's ears ache. She was also physically violent when she found anything she didn't like. Yes, Uchiha Sasuke was not the worst that could happen. Naruto absently stepped forwards as his name was called to do the Bunshin technique. He performed the jutsu flawlessly and effortlessly, and then returned to his seat. Naruto was not at all surprised when every single one of his classmates passed the Bunshin exam. After the exam, Iruka-sensei gave a lengthy lecture about how things would proceed from this point forwards, in teams of 3, under a single sensei. They would complete missions as a team and train as a team. Naruto knew all this already, so he absently tuned it out. After Iruka-sensei's speech, because all of them had passed, they were presented with their Hitai-8 and promptly divided into teams. Team 7, Haruno Sakura, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Your sensei is Hitaki Kakashi. As fate would have it, when Naruto finally heard his name called, it was with the exact 2 shinobi he least desired to be around that he was paired. Team 8, Uzumaki Naruto, Yamanaka Ino, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your sensei is Yuichi Kurenai. As Ino cheered loudly and Sakura slumped over in her seat, Naruto and Sasuke exchanged annoyed glances. Neither one of them was particularly thrilled about working in a group, especially with this grouping. Both boys thought of Ino as incredibly annoying, and they didn't get along between themselves. Clearing his throat loudly to silence the girls, Iruka-sensei continued, Team 10. Hyuga Hinata, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamichi Choji. Your sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Iruka-sensei continued to list of several other teams consisting of Naruto's classmates, but Naruto was no longer listening. He wondered who this Yuichi Kurenai was, and if they were a good sensei. Not that it mattered much. Naruto already had a sensei that was much more knowledgeable, especially when it came to forbidden techniques. He suddenly snapped back to reality when he heard Iruka-sensei dismissing them to go meet their new sensei. Standing quickly, Naruto headed for the doors. All the sensei were standing outside, waiting on their students. A beautiful kunoichi beckoned Naruto over. He was slightly shocked. This was Yuichi Kurenai. His sensei was a woman. The lady gave Naruto a genuine smile. You're Uzumaki Naruto. Welcome to Team 8. I'm Yuichi Kurenai, your sensei. Naruto forced his face into a wide smile, as he always did. Nice to meet you, Kurenai-sensei. When do we start missions? Kurenai-sensei paused to welcome Uchiha Sasuke as the raven-haired boy strolled up, hands shoved deep in his pockets. Sasuke only nodded somewhat rudely in response. When Ino gets here, I'll explain. she told Naruto after introducing herself to Sasuke. Of course, Yamanaka Ino was not far behind Sasuke. When was she ever? Bounding up, she latched onto the sullen boy's arm, squealing, "Sasuke-kun, we're on the same team." Sasuke immediately shook free of the overenthusiastic girl, glaring daggers at her. Kurenai-sensei cleared her throat meaningfully. "Yamanaka Ino, I am your sensei, Uehi Kurenai. Welcome to Team 8. Realizing her rudeness, Ino quickly bowed to her sensei. "Thank you, Kurenai-sensei." After this acknowledgement, she quickly turned her attentions back to the irritated Sasuke. Kurenai-sensei shook her head slightly before continuing. "Before we begin missions, I would like to assess your personal abilities, so as to best train you in the future. I have seen your grades, but watching you in action is much more helpful." Crossing her arms over her chest, she continued, "I will warn you of one thing, though. If I do not think you are fit to be a shinobi, I will not hesitate to report it to the Sandaime Hokage." Ino flinched the slightest bit. "Yes, sensei." Inwardly, her only thought was, "I'll have to work harder. I won't lose to Billboard Brow, I mean, Sakura." Naruto glanced at Sasuke and his expression darkened. He had no doubt he could beat the dark-haired shinobi, but he was still unsure exactly how skilled the Uchiha was. Sure, in the academy he had done everything perfectly. But the academy was really no test for a true, high-level shinobi. Sasuke, sensing Naruto's look, scowled back. He knew next to nothing about the blonde-haired shinobi, other than that he was always smiling ridiculously. He had no tolerance for idiots like Naruto. Naruto interpreted the look and regarded Sasuke back through squinty eyes. "Don't look down on me, Tem," he railed, inwardly sighing at the pointless gesture. Ino's fist crashed down on Naruto's head. "Naruto, don't be an idiot, Sasuke's way better than you. You shouldn't even be looking at him. Stupid moron." Naruto's first reaction was a surge of anger. How many people would look down on him before he couldn't take it anymore? But the anger died quickly. He was used to it, after all. Even if Ino didn't know why she looked down on him, she still did. Just blindly following everyone else. Konoha was full of mindless sheep, following the leader. Filled with contempt, Naruto simply turned away without a reply. Ino's eyebrows knitted downwards, annoyed and a bit surprised that Naruto hadn't risen to her bait. Oh well, she had successfully defended her precious Sasuke-kun. Sasuke was still watching Naruto. To be truthful, he hadn't expected that reaction, either. Perhaps there was more to the obnoxious shinobi than met the eye. Kurenai-sensei cleared her throat. "If you are ready to listen now," she trailed off, raising a brow meaningfully. Her three students nodded solemnly, and Ino seemed slightly embarrassed. "I will do your assessments individually, and then we will have a teamwork session. From what I can see, it's sorely needed." Her mouth pressed into a line. "Naruto, I will work with you first. The rest of you can head home for today." Ino and Sasuke were both taken aback that their sensei had chosen Naruto to go first, but they did as she requested. Ino added, "Yes, sensei." Naruto was slightly suspicious. "Why am I first?" he mumbled, eyeing her with caution. Kurenai-sensei chuckled. "It's okay, Naruto. I won't bite. I wanted to explain a few things to you, without the others present. The Sandaime himself asked me to tutor you and Sasuke for a specific reason. I'm not blind, Naruto. I've always seen how cruelly you were treated. In fact, that's precisely the reason I approached the third about you. There are 2 reasons I have become your sensei. Well, 3 really. The first was to help you improve as a shinobi. I understand that in the academy, some of the teachers deliberately sabotaged your lessons. I want to alleviate that." Naruto nodded silently. It didn't really matter, though. The Kyuubi had pointed out everything the teacher tried to do, just as he was now urging him to disregard her words. But the Kyuubi wasn't his master, so he ignored it. Kurenai continued, "The second reason is I wanted to become someone you could trust. An ally, of sorts. The way they treat you is completely out of line, and I won't stand for it. Naruto suppressed a chuckle at the indignant look on her face. It was nice of her, but it came far too late. Trying to fix things now would do nothing. He'd already been through far too much. Lastly, I understand that you have a Kekkei Genkai. This is where Sasuke comes in. As a wielder of a Kekkei Genkai of my own, it is only natural I help you both along. Naruto sorted away this interesting bit of information with no change in expression. Okay, what kind of assessment is this? Kurenai-sensei was a bit shocked at the lack of expression, or even emotion in his voice. The Naruto she'd watched was always so lively, or maybe that was just a front. It would make sense, she supposed. With all the mistreatment he'd gone through, shaking free from her thoughts she quickly answered, "For now, will you just perform a few of your jutsus?" That should be a good starting point. Naruto arranged his face into a cocky smile, but his eyes were emotionless voids of blue. What kind of techniques? I know a lot. Wind element, fire element, henge, summoning. Kurenai blinked. Whichever ones you'd like, Naruto. Forming a wickedly fast series of seals, Naruto bit his thumb, causing blood to run freely, and placed it on the ground, gathering the necessary chakra to his hand. Kuchio's no jutsu, he murmured, half to himself. There was a big puff of smoke, and a fox stood at his side, baring its teeth at her. Kurenai blinked. How had the boy gotten his hands on a summoning scroll? She would have to ask the third later when she gave her report. Thank you, Naruto. Naruto knelt down and spoke softly to the fox, apologizing for summoning him for no particular reason. When Naruto finished speaking, the kitsune disappeared in a puff of smoke. He glanced up at his sensei, pondering what technique to show next. He wanted to keep many of them hidden, because they were forbidden techniques, and he didn't want to let anyone in on his secret. Searching his mind for a technique that would make him appear gifted, but not overly so, he finally decided on another. Kaden. Karyu Enden. A great flaming dragon rose from Naruto's mouth as he completed the seals and released his chakra. He was extremely careful to aim it in the opposite direction of Kurenai-sensei, because even if he wasn't aiming at her, if she got too close it would still hurt her. He was about to loose the technique when he realized they were in the middle of Konoha. He quickly suppressed the chakra and released it in small fireballs instead. Kurenai-sensei chuckled slightly. Interesting choice. That's a B-rank technique, you know. Naruto met her eyes. Well, I didn't take you as a stupid person. Kurenai's brows shot up, but she didn't comment on his rudeness. Indeed I'm not. I think that should be good enough for now. Naruto gave a curt nod. Understood. There is one thing, though. Don't speak of my Kekkei Genkai to the others. I don't care that Sasuke will have one. I don't want them to know about it. Kurenai frowned. Naruto, that isn't a good idea. As teammates, you need to have complete trust in each other. Hiding something from them isn't a good start. Naruto scowled. It's not like they care to figure it out, anyways. This is something only me and the third know. And now you. I'd like to keep it that way. Kurenai sighed. If that's what you want, I can't really argue. I encourage you to tell them, though. Your encouragement is duly noted, sensei. May I leave now? Naruto knew he was being rude, but at this point he didn't really care. He wanted to go train. Yes, Naruto, you may go. Before you return to your home, though, I'd like you to have Sasuke come here. Kurenai watched his reaction. Naruto groaned. Is that really necessary? That grates on my nerves. Kurenai-sensei frowned sternly. That bastard, Naruto, is on your team. I expect you two to get along. Now go find him. I expect he's in the Uchiha compound. Naruto trudged away with a huge sigh. This was going to completely ruin his afternoon. Naruto stared at the large, foreboding door that seemed to loom over him. He didn't want to do this. Kurenai-sensei was evil. She had to give Naruto a task like this. Scowling, Naruto raised his fist and banged obnoxiously on the door. A little louder than needed, but not so loud that he would be accused of banging too loudly. It only took a few moments before the door cracked open. The raven-haired boy glared back at him. What? Naruto's eyes narrowed into slits. Kurenai-sensei asked me to send you to her. Sasuke's eyes narrowed right back. Did she? It wasn't a question. That's what I said, Tem. What? The genius ninja can't hear. Naruto refrained from rolling his eyes. Sasuke's face darkened at the insults. Shut up, Dobi, and get off my porch. Naruto jumped sideways as Sasuke stepped towards him, body automatically tensing for a fight. But Sasuke merely brushed past him, without as much as a second glance. Naruto was slightly affronted. He hated being looked down upon. Sasuke didn't even know anything about him, and he immediately disregarded him. Just like everyone else. It irked him like nothing else. It's not like you, Kit. Getting so riled over a kid ninja. Even if he is a so-called genius. The Kyuubi seemed amused. Shut up, Fox. Naruto mumbled, squinting after Sasuke. The fox's chuckle echoed throughout his head. The yard was littered with shurikens and targets, battered from use. Perhaps the raven wasn't gliding as much as he'd thought. Abruptly realizing he was still standing on the Uchiha's porch, Naruto quickly left the compound before he could be accused of loitering. Suddenly curious, Naruto made the tiger hand seal and murmured, Maisegakur no Jutsu. Naruto faded back into the shadows, his shadow and scent disappearing completely. It was a very high-level technique to be using to spy on his genin teammate and sensei, but Naruto could get away with wasting a little chakra. Or a lot, at least, until Sasuke developed the Sharingan. The technique would be useless then. Laughing silently, he headed after Sasuke, tailing him effortlessly. He was invisible to the senses, after all. Well, except maybe smell. But he knew enough to disguise his scent by now. Foxes were predatory animals, after all. He'd learned from the best. The Kyuubi grinned malevolently in his head. Naruto attempted to ignore it. He followed Sasuke all the way to where Kurenai-sensei waited. Neither one suspected a thing. Why should they? After all, no one would be interested in this particular conversation. Or so they thought. Kurenai-sensei stood from her seated position and greeted Sasuke. Sasuke, as you know, this is an assessment of your skills. But I also wanted to let you know that I am aware you will eventually develop a Kekkei Genkai. The Sharingan. I was selected as your sensei for this reason, as I have a bloodline limit as well. Sasuke blinked in surprise, but said nothing other than, HN. Kurenai-sensei chuckled. All right, then. Show me a few techniques and then you can go find Ino for me. Sasuke grunted slightly before he began to form hand seals. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu. The fireball shot away from the raven and scorched several nearby trees. Kurenai winced. Destroying trees, again. When will these kids ever learn? Very good, Sasuke. Though perhaps next time you will contain your chakra and not destroy the trees. It was a command. Annoyed, Sasuke nodded mutely in assent. Naruto held back a chuckle. Kid genius. The prick couldn't even nullify his own chakra. Shaking his head he turned to leave. He'd seen enough. Sure, Sasuke would grow up and become powerful someday, but the day wasn't anytime soon. Naruto would keep an eye on him, but for now, he had nothing to worry about. He didn't even realize until he stopped thinking that he was following Sasuke. Embarrassed, Naruto turned to head back to his own apartment, but hesitated. Since he was already using the technique, he might as well spy on Ino as well. Perhaps he could help her with something and win her over to his side. An ally would be nice as a teammate, after all. And it was good to help your teammates anyways, right? After all, he potentially could be placing his life in their hands. Mind made up, Naruto continued to follow Sasuke, who sought out Ino. It took the Uchiha much longer than it should have. Of course, it made perfect sense. The raven ignored everyone, and avoided girls like the plague. Naruto didn't exactly blame him, per se, as crazed fangirls are most likely the creepiest species on the planet Earth, but it wouldn't hurt him to at least pick up a few of their habits. In fact, it would make avoiding them easier. Naruto chuckled, amused that a genius like Sasuke couldn't see something so simple. Sasuke finally found the loudmouthed girl, who proceeded to fawn all over him. Naruto allowed himself a small smirk at the boy's discomfort before growing bored. Taking a few steps away from the pair, Naruto released his technique and made a cage bunshin, sending it after Ino. "Kit." A rumbling voice sounded inside his head. "Come here." Naruto understood, and had guessed this would be coming soon. Slipping into a secluded area, he sat down cross-legged on the forest floor and made a few hand seals, closing his eyes. Kokugan no Jutsu. It was one of Naruto's own techniques, developed to enter into his own mindscape whenever necessary. Reopening his eyes, he found himself in his own mindscape. The Kyuubi leered at him from behind bars. "Kit." The voice was closer now, more urging. Naruto sighed. "Shut up, fox. I know." He closed his eyes again, and began molding chakra. The blue aura swirled around him swiftly as he summoned more and more. With a soft sigh, he made a hand seal and whispered, "Maboroshi no Jutsu." When he opened his eyes once more, he was back in Konoha. A human with reddish hair stared back at him through the eyes of the Kyuubi. "It is done." Naruto's eyes widened. It had taken him many years, but he had finally developed his new jutsu. The Kyuubi did not have a permanent body, but he could now manifest for several days in the body Naruto had just created out of pure chakra. "So it is." The Kyuubi came a step closer, staring Naruto down. "I will keep to my side of the agreement. But I do not like you, nor any human. Do not expect anything of me other than instruction, Kit." Naruto let loose a short laugh, but it held no humor. "Don't be afraid of that, fox." He suddenly fell quiet and cocked his head. Ino was pretty pathetic as well, he mused aloud, as the information from the cage bunshin suddenly came to him. The Kyuubi chuckled darkly. "I have one thing to suggest before we begin a spar. Your clothes, get rid of them." Naruto glanced down at his bright orange jumpsuit with little expression. "Fine. I have something to discuss with you before we begin. I can't just walk around calling you Kyuubi. What would you suggest?" The nine-tailed fox smirked. "Kuro." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Subtle. You should probably stop calling me Kit, now, you know." Kyuubi shrugged, a human gesture Naruto found very strange coming from the demon. "I suppose." Naruto. The demon crouched, settling into a fighting stance. "Let's fight." The two sized each other up for a while before either made a move. Naruto's patience broke and he sprang towards Kyuubi, tossing several shuriken haphazardly just for a reaction. Smirking, he muttered from the side of his mouth, "This a serious fight or are we just messing around?" Kyuubi dodged sideways and danced around Naruto, chuckling low in his throat. "I suppose you're right. We should probably put up a barrier first, Don't want the nosy humans to come sniffing around." Naruto rolled his eyes. "No, we don't." He jogged a few hundred feet out and placed a paper seal before doing the same with two others, forming a large triangle. Forming a single hand seal, he murmured, "Three-seal barrier." Meandering back inside, Naruto cracked his knuckles. "Now we're good, right?" Kyuubi nodded once. "Yeah," he answered shortly before springing towards Naruto. "It's nice to have a body. I haven't fought in decades." Naruto absently stepped aside. "More like a decade. I'm not that old, you fur ball." Kyuubi glared at Naruto. "When you've lived as long as I have, all the years blur together." Abruptly he decided the pleasantries were over and his speed dramatically increased. Naruto noticed this, and began to concentrate on dodging instead of talking. The Kyuubi couldn't use ninjutsu or any jutsu required much chakra, due to the fact that at the moment, he only had a limited supply of Naruto's own chakra. Naruto would definitely use that to his full advantage. Hand moving rapidly in a motion similar to the Rasengan, red chakra spiked between his palms. Kaijin no Jutsu. 1. Kyuubi, instead of backing off, rushed Naruto. Come, now, you can do better than that, Kit. I know all your techniques. Think you'll catch me off guard with them? He dodged as Naruto swiped a ball of fiery chakra towards him and swiped a bare-handed slice at Naruto. The attack grazed Naruto's arm, causing a severe burning on his flesh. Dazed, Naruto jumped back in an attempt to avoid Kuro's next flurry of blows. Even in a false body, Kyuubi's speed and power were astounding. Kyuubi plunged a kunai through Naruto's heart, and as the apparition disappeared into thin air, the real Naruto unleashed a complicated flurry of taijutsu attacks, surprisingly sending the demon reeling for space. Kei's no Yaiba. Naruto formed an air current around his fingertips and sent a barrage of slicing wind at the Kyuubi. The demon effortlessly dodged the invisible attacks and lunged at Naruto with the speed of a lightning bolt, almost landing crushing and perhaps critical blows on Naruto's body. Sacrificing defense for offense, you know better than that, Kit. Be aware of everything. Naruto barely managed to jump back before the ground beneath Kyuubi exploded in a brilliant array of fire. Naruto planted a paper bomb beneath his feet from his previous jutsu, preparing a surprise attack for the demon. Stupid fire-using fox, he mumbled beneath his breath, feeling the soles of his feet heat slightly from the ground's heat. You could have killed me with that. Ah, but I did warn you. Unaffected by the explosion, Kyuubi glared at him with a killing intent so intense it put Naruto in a state of fear so great he could barely move. The demon slashed at Naruto with claws the size of daggers. Barely able to block Kyuubi's attacks, Naruto received dozens of new incisions on his body. Though they healed almost instantaneously, the pain didn't fade nearly as quickly. Deciding he had no choice but to go on the defensive at this point, Naruto materialized a dozen clones to assist in the fight. 3 clones were dispelled instantly by the killing intent, but it didn't matter. It gave Naruto precious time to recover. He also developed an idea of the demon's presence as the clones were massacred. Kyuubi had no weakness whatsoever. He flawlessly executed attacks with no wasted movements at all. Naruto knew he couldn't win, but he had to do something to put up at least some fight. He summoned 24 more clones, hurled kunai at the demon, and multiplied the kunai, performing a shuriken cage bunshin no jutsu. Hundreds of razor-sharp blades headed towards Kuro impaled him in a gruesome manner. Or so it appeared. Kyuubi merely smiled coolly, and with a ripple of foreign chakra, sent the kunai out of his body and straight towards Naruto. The killing intent was almost too much for Naruto at this point. Dodging the kunai, Naruto made a few hand seals and murmured, "Kaden, Goryuka no Jutsu," sending out enormous flame dragons from all different directions. Although this was nearly an unavoidable attack, Kyuubi took the challenge and seemed to find pleasure rather than pain from the raging fire. Fire was a fuel for this demon. Naruto imprudently realized this only too late. Dang it, he muttered as Kuro seemed to disappear from thin air, appearing behind Naruto and ferociously attacking in a way only a true monster could. Coming from all different directions, Naruto felt the dagger-like claws bury in his flesh right around his throat. He was completely overwhelmed, knowing the fight to soon be over. If the demon had wanted, he clearly could have killed Naruto. Kyuubi smirked. That was pretty pathetic, Naruto. Naruto sighed. Give me a break, Q. You're a friggin' demon, know all my jutsu, have greater speed and strength than me, and are invulnerable to fire. I can't honestly do much against you right now. Kyuubi chuckled. You will always be weak compared to me, Kit. There's really nothing you can do to change that, as long as you are human. However, you can surpass all the humans with my help. The demonic eyes gleamed with ambition and power, and watching the fox, Naruto believed every word. I'd better, Naruto responded in a somewhat arrogant tone. Now we should probably take this barrier down before the whole town knows about it and we get interrogated. Kyuubi responded neutrally. I suppose. He finally conceded. Remember you said you'd get new clothes. And there's another thing. That Yamanaka girl. Her clan have strange jutsus. Make sure you don't get caught in her techniques. I'm not saying this for you, but she might die. He bared his teeth in a demonic grin. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Thanks for the warning. He strode towards Kyuubi and touched his brow, returning the chakra to his body, along with the Kyuubi's presence. He quickly removed the 3 seals and retracted the barrier. A frantic squad of Anbu waited outside. Uzumaki Naruto. One exclaimed in surprise. Naruto mentally face-palmed himself. Should have used a henge. Oh well, too late now. Summoning up a stupid expression, he gave them blank looks. Something wrong. The Anbu were suspicious people, but narrow-minded ones as well. No, never mind. The Anbu finally said. A genin fresh out of the academy would never know an S-class jutsu, particularly one as stupid as Uzumaki Naruto. Their haughtiness saved Naruto from a load of trouble. Holding back a chuckle, he strolled away from the training area. So, Kuro, what do I need to do to train? Naruto spoke to the Kyuubi as he returned to his house. Become stronger and faster. The 9-tailed fox did not elaborate. Come on, Kuro. Naruto knew that whining was enough to make the fox annoyed. Shut up, Kit. For that. Hey heh heh. Kyuubi snickered sinisterly. Okay. This did not bode well. Kuro, Naruto quested. Find the one called Maida guy. Ask him to train you a bit, to make you stronger and smarter. Kyuubi's gravelly voice held a definite note of glee. Have it your way. Naruto was slightly frightened, but the fox wouldn't suggest something that was a total waste of time, right? Kaijin no Jutsu. Ash technique. Basically a fireball that burns anything it touches. Gee, what a surprise. I have such creativity sometimes, wouldn't you say? Kei's no Yaiba. Blade of wind. Assassination technique. An invisible, slicing air current somewhat like a chakra scalpel. Can be very devastating if used to cause paralysis or to hit critical points. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto's shadow clones transform into Shuriken. Kaden. Goryuka no Jutsu. Fire Release. Great Dragon Fire Technique. Hulking dragons made from fire. Similar to Zabuza's Water Dragon Technique. Naruto walked down the path, heading towards the small clearing Team 8 had met in yesterday. Sasuke and Ino were already there. Naruto suppressed a chuckle at the sight of Ino hanging all over Sasuke. Wordlessly he seated himself several meters away from the other two, leaning against the trunk of a tree and closing his eyes. Naruto could feel Sasuke's eyes on him, but it wasn't uncomfortable for him. He'd received so many dirty looks since the time he could walk that one more wouldn't make a heck a lot of difference. Kurenai-sensei arrived at that moment. Wow, you're all early. Excellent. Well, I guess I can start the teamwork session. I want to explain a few things before we begin. What I'm going to say is something some of you might not like, but it's something that needs to be said. As far as teamwork goes, you 3 are horrible. Ino, all you do is look to Sasuke for help and guidance. You completely ignore Naruto. Naruto and Sasuke, you 2 ignore all your teammates, thinking you can get the job done better alone. As long as we are a team, I won't stand for this. Teamwork is the basis of all teams, and a professional ninja knows can get over working with people they don't like. If you want to be a ninja, you need to learn to work together with whoever you're placed with. Do you understand me? Ino stood up straighter and barked back, yes sensei. While Naruto and Sasuke gave Kurenai grudging nods. Good. Since we're a new team, we're going to start with D-rank missions. These missions will be of no challenge whatsoever, but they are an important step to becoming a true shinobi. I will have no complaining. They may seem absurd, but if nothing else, will help you with your physical conditioning. The 3 genins nodded again. Ino ventured a bit to say, but what about the teamwork session, sensei? Kurenai smiled. It begins now. We'll be doing these exercises for 3 days, throughout our missions. Every day we'll switch activities. For now, Naruto will be with me, and Sasuke and Ino will work together. Without a pause, less chance of arguments, she reached into her weapons pouch and withdrew 2 blindfolds. To start, Ino and Naruto will be blindfolded. Sasuke, you will direct Ino's motion. She handed off a blindfold to both Naruto and Ino. Naruto frowned and tied the blindfold around his eyes. This did not bode well for him. Kurenai seemed to have something to say to him. On the bright side, at least he could bring up Maida Guy. Ino was excitedly exclaiming about the exercise as she tied the blindfold around her own eyes, but Naruto wasn't listening very closely. Kurenai cleared her throat, probably to shut Ino up. We're heading to the Hokage Tower now, Sasuke. She informed the broody teen before laying her hand lightly on Naruto's arm to guide him. See if you and Ino can keep up. Naruto could hear the teasing in her voice. She set the pace at a quick jog, making sure Naruto was following. Sasuke, of course, was too cool to be seen leading a girl around at a fast pace, so his footsteps sounded decidedly slower to Naruto's ears. Something you wanted to say? Naruto mumbled in between even breaths. Kurenai's hand twitched slightly on his arm. Yes, she said after a moment. It's about your Kekkei Genkai. The Hokage didn't seem to know much about it. Naruto rolled his eyes behind the blindfold. And, clan secrets, and all that. Kurenai's tone sharpened slightly. Naruto, be respectful. Oops, she saw that after all. Your clan is dead. Keeping secrets of this size to yourself guarantees that when you are gone, a valuable asset to Konoha will be lost. As your sensei and team leader, I will need to know the specifics of your Kekkei Genkai. Kurenai still sounded stern. Naruto stiffened. I understand, sensei, he muttered in a low voice. He was not very happy about this predicament. Deceptively sweetly, he added, would it be possible for me to ask a favor of you? Kurenai sighed. One day and she'd already offended a student. Oh well, he was a ninja. He'd get over it. Of course, Naruto. What do you need? I have discovered during my training that my taijutsu needs a little work. May I train under Maida Guy for a few weeks to improve my speed and strength? Because, you aren't exactly a taijutsu specialist. Naruto couldn't resist the last jab. Kurenai frowned. I'm well aware of that, Naruto. She said, a little stiffly. I will speak to Guy about it. It's up to him, but I'm glad to know you're taking an interest in improving yourself. Ha, improving himself. He kind of liked this lady. Thanks, Kurenai-sensei, he said, real gratitude coloring his tone. He could feel Kurenai relax somewhat after that. They spent the rest of the jog in silence. It was a while before Sasuke and Ino arrived. Naruto smirked slightly at the aggravated expression the last Uchiha sported. At least by having these two on his team he had something to be amused about. Kurenai led them into the room where the Sandaime Hokage sat at his desk, smoking a pipe. Ah, teammate. The Hokage greeted them. His gaze slid to Naruto, as if checking to see how he was doing. The boy stood quietly, arms crossed. Meeting Kurenai's eyes, the Hokage gave her a slight smile. Kurenai smiled back. We've come to request a mission, Hokage-sama. The old man rummaged around on the messy desk. I have just the thing for you. He picked up a page and handed it to Kurenai. Any of those are acceptable. Kurenai scanned over the list quickly. Catch the cat? No. Just no. Weed a garden? Too difficult with two blindfolded people. Coming to the bottom of the list, she smiled perfect. Teammate accepts the mission of mapping the forests of Kazaha Sans land. Naruto could see where this was going. Wandering around in a forest blindfolded, yikes. Well, at least Kurenai was guiding him. Teammate left the building and headed towards where the mission would take place. Upon arrival, Kurenai threw them all a curve ball. All right, Ino, come with me. We'll be mapping the east side. Sasuke and Naruto, you two map the west. You just had to do that now, didn't you? Naruto sighed. He could practically feel the smugness oozing from Sasuke's pores. You should leave a clone here or he'll run me off a cliff. The only comment from the Uchiha was a very sinister sounding, "HN. He sounds like he quite likes that idea," Naruto thought suspiciously. Kurenai smiled. Sasuke wouldn't fail a mission just to purposefully injure his teammate, Naruto. "You'll be fine. That's what you think," Naruto murmured, but he let it slide. Kurenai turned to leave, Ino at her side. "Oh, one more thing, Sasuke. There is an object hidden here that you must retrieve, even if it isn't part of the mission. You will know this object when you see it. You can't touch it yourself. Naruto has to retrieve it. Have fun." With a jaunty wave, her and Ino continued on their way. Naruto let loose a long, pained sigh. Why does that sound way more troublesome than she wants us to think? Sasuke snorted. Naruto could feel the raven move closer and a hand suddenly clamped down on a particularly painful spot between his shoulder and neck. Stifling a hiss, Naruto waited for Sasuke to move or say something. It was a long while before Sasuke finally said, "Dobi. Let's finish this mission." Naruto did hiss this time. With annoyance. "Who do you think I'm waiting on, Tem?" 2 hours later, Naruto had run into 6 trees, nearly had his eye poked out by a wayward branch, tripped over 3 rocks, and the map was finished. He refused to believe any of these things were an accident. However, they had yet to spot the item Kurenai had referred to. Sasuke had adamantly insisted that it would be somewhere near the back part of the woods, because it was the longest distance and therefore the hardest to find. They had traversed the whole area, or so Naruto suspected, several times already. He had no way of knowing for real, of course, seeing that he was blindfolded. But Sasuke was an Uchiha. That was reason enough. "Hey, Tem, ever think of looking somewhere you don't expect a hidden item to be at?" Naruto couldn't help himself, he was getting annoyed. The hand on his collarbone tightened. "HN. Dobi," was all the reply he received. Letting loose an extremely loud, "Arg," was Naruto's reply back. The fox stirred, awakened by his agitation. "Naruto, what's going on?" Naruto sighed. "Sasuke's being a prick. We're supposed to be finding a hidden item and he's leading me around in circles." Kyuubi seemed to find this extremely entertaining. "Oh, that old trick. Genjutsu specialists love it. Your mother's team got the same test. Tell the Uchiha there's probably a genjutsu." Naruto nearly face-palmed himself. What a simple trick. He felt incredibly stupid now. Sasuke. Is there a genjutsu?" The raven paused. Muttering a low curse, he pulled his hand from Naruto's shoulder, made a hand seal and whispered, "Kai." Apparently the fox was right, because a moment later, Sasuke grumbled, "I see the item. You have to get it, Dobi. It's up a tree." "Thanks, Tem. I'll just do that." Throwing his hands towards heaven, Naruto continued in an exasperated tone, "There are millions of trees here, Sasuke. Show me which one." Sasuke smirked and shoved Naruto into said tree. Naruto's eye twitched beneath the blindfold, but he didn't give Sasuke a reaction. Instead he began climbing the tree. He had always been good at climbing, luckily for the last Uchiha. After a few more instructions from the raven he reached the item and scooped it up. "What is this thing, anyways?" Naruto patted it down and promptly stabbed himself. "Apparently a kunai." Sasuke grunted. "HN. Dobi." Naruto growled. "Is that all you can say?" Shaking his head he muttered, "Never mind." Climbing down from the tree he added, "Let's get back to Kurenai-sensei. We'll probably have another mission after lunch." Sasuke gripped Naruto's shoulder again and steered him back towards the place their sensei had left them. Ino and Kurenai-sensei waited for them. Ino looked delighted at the emo's sudden appearance. "Sasuke-kun," she shouted before glomping him. Sasuke promptly shoved her off and took 3 steps back, looking murderous. Naruto laughed. The last Uchiha, driven back by a fangirl. He narrated from behind Sasuke. Neither of his teammates appeared to appreciate his wit, seeing as he could feel the heat of their glares through the blindfold. "Hey, lighten up, kiddos. Ino's fist crashed down on Naruto's head. Shut up, Naruto. You're so annoying. And you're younger than us, I think. My birthday's September 23rd. She turned to bat her eyes at Sasuke, and Naruto made a gagging motion behind her back. Sasuke couldn't hold back a tiny snort at the Dobi's antics. Sasuke-kun, when is your birthday? The Raven frowned. He didn't really want the fangirls to have any more ammunition, but they were working on teamwork. July 23rd. Ah, Sasuke-kun's so mature. Ino squealed. Naruto snorted. He's 2 months older than you, stupid. That isn't very much maturity. And judging by your level, ow. Ino's fist against smashed down on his head. Geez, ease up. We're teammates, piggy. Naruto complained. Ino's eyes blazed. Don't call me that, Naruto. Ooh. She moved towards him, ready to beat him up. Luckily, Kurenai intervened. That's enough, Ino. Aren't you going to ask Naruto's birthday? The dark-haired sensei narrowed her eyes at the younger Kunoichi. Naruto's whole expression darkened at the mention of his birthday. No need, he replied calmly. I don't want to talk about it anyways. He turned away from his team, posture rigid. Are we finished, sensei? The last word was practically venomous. Yes. After lunch, meet me back at the normal place at 1:30. We'll do another mission. You can take off your blindfolds for now, also. Naruto ripped the cloth from his eyes and stalked away without a backward glance. Stupid sensei. The ramen didn't even taste as heavenly as it normally did. After a measly 4 bowls, he couldn't stomach anything else. Naruto found himself with an hour of time to do with as he wished. Returning to his apartment, he sprawled back on his bed and closed his eyes. The fox's reply was instantaneous. What is it, Kit? Wake me up when I need to get going. Naruto rolled over and promptly fell asleep. Naruto, it's time. The deep voice woke Naruto instantly. The hyperactive blonde sat up. Thanks, Kuro. Rubbing his eyes and rising to his feet, Naruto blearily stumbled to the bathroom and splashed some water on his face before jogging out the door. Locking the door with extreme care, he returned to the clearing for the second time that day. They were all waiting for him. Face and eyes completely blank, he stepped up to meet them. As soon as their eyes turned towards him, he plastered on a huge grin. What's up, team? Kurenai-sensei sighed in exasperation, but was a little relieved that Naruto was okay. He'd seemed pretty upset earlier. Cutting of any impending arguments, she spoke up, good, you're here. We're going back to the Hokage's office for another mission. This time Sasuke and I will wear the blindfolds. Smirking, Naruto chunked his blindfold at Sasuke, who caught it with a scowl. Ino gave hers to Kurenai, scowling at Naruto for taking her precious opportunity to talk to Sasuke-kun. Kurenai continued, Ino, you led Sasuke this time. Naruto, come with me. She tied the blindfold over her eyes and waited for him to join her. They left without a glance back. Once again waiting until they were out of earshot, Kurenai told Naruto, I spoke to Guy. He was perfectly fine with you joining him. Unable to keep the amusement out of her voice, she added, they meet at the West training field at 5:30. Naruto simply blinked in astonishment at the absurd time. Sighing, he rubbed the back of his head and nodded. Thanks, I'll be there. Kurenai raised her eyebrows, somewhat surprised. I thought he'd give up, she admitted to herself. Very good, I will let Guy know. As for your Kekkei Genkei, Naruto interrupted, I know, sensei. When the opportunity comes, I'll show you. But not with anyone else around. It takes a lot of energy, too. Understatement. Though the energy wasn't really the problem, but she didn't have to know that. Kurenai was satisfied with that answer, luckily. Good. And Naruto, if you need something, just tell me. He was kinda glad she was blindfolded, his expression was positively skeptical. Right, thanks. He considered telling her that he would, but he didn't really want to lie about something so stupid. Another mission, The Sandaime blew a puff of smoke from his pipe and again reached for a sheaf of papers on his desk. Naruto stared out the window, not really paying attention. He just wanted to end this mission and start training. Hey, Q, anything I can do to train during this mission? I'm so bored. The fox's reply was instant. Chakra control. You need it for the next jutsu I'm gonna give you, anyways. Ah, come on. That again. Haven't I done that enough? Naruto sighed. Fine, you win. What do I do? Use your chakra to erase the tracks you leave. Do you know how to do it? Kyuubi yawned. Just maintain a constant flow on the soles of my feet, right? Then I won't leave any tracks. Naruto reasoned. Right. Have fun, Kit. Kyuubi returned to his nap. Lazy fur ball, Naruto mumbled. Excuse me. Kurenai glared at Naruto, knowing he hadn't heard a word anyone just said. What? Naruto muttered intelligently. I asked you, Naruto, if it's true that you can make Kage Bunshin. You're to go with Sasuke to the supermarket. You're grocery shopping for the mission while Ino and I cook. Kurenai tapped her foot, impatient and annoyed. Right. I can make Kage Bunshin. Naruto grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Then bring the items over with a clone as soon as you've found them. Payment has already been arranged. They're listed by recipe. Bring the first recipe's ingredients first. Got it. Kurenai narrowed her eyes. Yes, Kurenai-sensei. Naruto held back a chuckle. It was kinda funny how annoyed she was. Clearly he'd found her pet peeve already. We'll go right away. Grabbing Sasuke's forearm, Naruto steered him outside. This is dumb. He sighed under his breath. Dobi, the Uchiha questioned. We're going to the supermarket, all right. Don't call me that, Uchiha. Too busy concentrating the chakra to his feet, Naruto wasn't in the mood for conversation. Especially one-sided conversation, where he did all the work. Satisfied he'd gotten under Naruto's skin, the Raven fell silent. Inwardly, though, he was burning with curiosity. What was going on? It was irritating not to be able to see. While practicing chakra control, Naruto barely managed to deal with Sasuke, find all the items on the list, and send them on via shadow clone to Kurenai and Ino. All in all, it required a lot more concentration than it should have. The increase in chakra control better be worth it, you dumb fox, Naruto threatened the Kyuubi. The nine-tailed demon merely laughed. It's good for you, Naruto. Naruto didn't bother to reply. Practically dragging the very frustrated Uchiha, he returned to where Ino and Kurenai were cooking. That's everything, he added unnecessarily. Kurenai barely glanced up. Good job, you and Sasuke can head home now. I'll give you your pay later. Oh, and Naruto. Sasuke can't take off the blindfold until he's in his house. Naruto's eyebrows twitched, and his facial expression was incredulous. Are you telling me to walk the Tem home? Kurenai, amused, finally looked Naruto in the face. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Naruto pressed his fingertips to his temple, feeling a headache coming on. Why do the heavens hate me? He bemoaned to the skies. Kurenai simply chuckled. Abruptly, a clenched fist flew in front of his face. Sasuke had missed by a barely centimeter. Dobi, let's go. I have things to do. Naruto wheeled on the annoyed Raven, grabbing his shirt collar. Oh yes, because everything is all about you, Sasuke Harem. He yelled before dragging the somewhat stunned Uchiha off. A few seconds later, the sounds of a fight drifted to their ears. Kurenai wiped a tear away from her eye, sides shaking. Perhaps being a Junin sensei wasn't as boring as I thought. Ino simply watched her sensei with something akin to concern. When Naruto finally got Sasuke home, both the shinobi had their share of bruises. Practically throwing the Raven through his front door, Naruto hurried home. Can I start on the new move now? Naruto bugged the Kyuubi on his way home. I seem to remember that you have a promise to keep first, Kit. Kyuubi grumped. Promise. Naruto thought about it for a moment. Oh, new clothes, right, I guess I should do that first, With an awkward little laugh, Naruto turned and looked around before doing a henge. He couldn't get any good clothes as himself, for sure. That was the reason he'd had the orange in the first place. What should I get, Q? The demon roared in his head. I am not a fashion consultant, you brat. I'm a demon, the most powerful demon there is. Find someone else to help you do your shopping. A mental door was slammed, and silence followed. Hey, I guess that was kinda the wrong thing to say. Naruto winced slightly at his own eagerness. Well, no one else is gonna help me, for sure. Guess I'll just have to pick up whatever I like best. Turning again, he headed back towards the ninja clothing store. Inside, he glanced around. What color do I want? A ninja should blend in, so brown, green, black, gray. So boring, I could probably get away with red. Red sounds good. He took his time browsing. It was nice, being able to look around without people throwing him out. Finally he decided on 2 different outfits. He'd been saving up money since he was in the academy, having a feeling he'd need it for something or other. Lucky for him, he'd been right. Well, it was Kuro's idea, but, whatever. The fox was sulking so he could claim the idea without getting in trouble. The first outfit looked very similar to an Anbu outfit, except that it was black and dark red instead of white and black. Black ninja sandals, baggy black capris, a black tank top, and black sleeves from his hands to past his elbows. Dark red arm guards, and a red short-sleeved jacket. The jacket was practical, because if he was ever on a mission where anonymity was required, the hood could cover his dead obvious bright blonde hair. The second outfit was a more casual one. He'd originally planned to get only one, but he'd had fun and ended up picking out 2. He wouldn't ever wear the second training or doing missions, but he didn't really mind. He'd picked out black jeans, slightly baggy but still form-fitting, a olive green and tan striped long-sleeve shirt, and another short-sleeved hoodie, this one black. Paying for his purchases, Naruto left the store. He walked all the way home before releasing his henge. Unlocking the apartment door, he stepped inside. Kyuubi, you can stop sulking now. I'm done. Naruto laughed. The great demon fox growled. I was not sulking, Naruto. Since you kept your promise, get changed, and let's go. I'll show you the new move. You'll have to use that technique first, or I can't show you. Naruto felt an excited shiver flit across his skin, leaving goosebumps. Of course. Hang on. Clipping the tags from his new purchases, he quickly changed into the first outfit he'd picked out and dashed towards the training fields. Naruto. The voice held a slightly urgent note. Naruto, you forgot to lock the door. Naruto skidded to a stop, eyes wide and a bit fearful. Thanks, Kuro, if you hadn't. He trailed off and turned, locking the apartment door before continuing to the training field. Sitting down on the grass, Naruto concentrated his chakra and prepared the technique, murmuring, Mabaroshi no Jutsu. Opening his eyes, he again faced the Kyuubi's avatar. Rising to feet, he grinned. Kuro grinned back at him. Good, Naruto. Glancing down at his human hand, he flexed it. This body is strange. Shaking his head, he added, my form might waver a bit, since I'm using a bit of the chakra. Just a warning, you might have to give me more. Glancing down at his hand again, a red spiral sphere formed. This is called the Rasengan. It was your father's technique, Kit. I thought you'd like to know it. Did you watch how I did it? Naruto nodded. I can't really see it very well, but you're rotating the chakra, right? Kuro smiled. Right. It'll be difficult to learn, but now that you've seen I think you've grasped the concept, right? Oh, and yours should be blue, by the way. Naruto nodded again. Yeah, I understand how it's done, at least. Thanks, Kuro. I'll work on it. Anything else? The fox in human form placed his hands behind his hand and lazily leaned back. Your bloodline limit, Naruto. What are you going to do about the female? Naruto scowled. Don't remind me. I'll use a low level and hope she doesn't ask for more. Unfortunately, I can't really refuse her, without making her even more suspicious. And suspicion is the last thing I need from someone I'll see every day. Anything else? Just a warning. Don't train too long. You'll need all your energy in the morning. I'd also suggest summoning one of the kids to keep watch around your house, as well. It's been too long without trouble, something's bound to happen soon. You should seal your new clothes away, as well. Okay. Sheesh, what a slave driver. I'll do it when I'm done training. Thanks, Kuro. Bringing his hands together in a seal, the technique dispelled. Naruto turned to the training grounds, ready to begin trying to master the Rasengan. You've got to be kidding me. Naruto stared. He couldn't stop staring. Why? Just why? Spandex is a bad look for anyone. Green spandex, who would go there? But green spandex, bowl haircuts, and the bushiest eyebrows imaginable. It's just the scariest combo. Kuro, I'm gonna kill you later, Naruto muttered to the fox, who only snickered in reply. The green beasts of Konoha noticed Naruto's approach. Naruto-san, how youthful of you to join us. The taller one bellowed, charging towards him in an altogether frightening sight. Naruto winced visibly. Why yo, he managed. Guy pressed the heels of his hands to his forehead and yelled, what a hip greeting. Lee, Naruto-san is clearly worthy of becoming your eternal rival. Yosh, Guy-sensei, our fires of youth will burn brightly. Mini Guy, apparently his name was Lee, had visible flames in his eyes. He was really freaking Naruto out. Naruto's sweat dropped. Okay, I assume you are Meta Guy. He addressed the taller one. The man nodded, gave Naruto a thumbs up, and grinned hugely. His teeth sparkled and made a noise. I am Meta Guy, and this is my cute student, Lee. The Guy Jr. kid gave Naruto a salute. Yosh, I am Rock Lee. It is good to meet you, Naruto-kun. Likewise, Naruto mumbled, somewhat untruthfully. I am happy to train with you and your youthful sensei. He grimaced slightly, the words leaving a bad taste in his mouth. Lee didn't seem to notice. His eyes were shining. Yes, Guy-sensei is the greatest and wisest sensei. Guy laughed freakishly. Now we will train. Naruto-san, you will spar with Lee. Naruto's mouth quirked down on one side. He knew Lee had a year of experience on him, and that was a large gap to cross. Yes, sensei. Any rules? Guy nodded wisely. Taijutsu only. Lee readied himself for the spar, seeming eager. It is always a pleasure to test oneself against a strong opponent. He remarked happily. Naruto inclined his head as reply and readied himself. He would not underestimate Rock Lee. Guy was watching Naruto closely. Yosh, begin, he said suddenly. Lee immediately launched himself towards Naruto. Konoha Senpuu, Naruto blocked with his arms and skidded back a few feet. This kid was strong, and fast. Without ninjutsu or his Kekkei Genkai, there was no way he could keep up. Of course, that was why he was here, so that in the future there wouldn't be a situation like this. But for now, he just had to do his best. He didn't know any special taijutsu forms yet, and the basics, when facing the student of a specialist, were not enough. Naruto got in a hit or two, but the spar ended rather quickly with his defeat. Lee helped Naruto to his feet. Good fight, Naruto-kun. Surely you have much greater strength in ninjutsu. I am slightly envious. I cannot perform ninjutsu. Naruto nodded. So I've heard. It takes a lot of hard work to stand where you're standing, Lee. You are truly a genius of hard work. Lee looked like he was about to cry for his happiness. Naruto-kun, he cried, lip trembling. Naruto grinned back. Call me Naruto. I'll appreciate your help during this training, Lee. The green-clad ninja nodded vigorously. Guy came over and put a hand on either boy's shoulder. A shining display of youthfulness. He exclaimed, but now we must train for the explosions of youth ahead. Naruto-san, please address me as Guy-sensei. For the beginning of your training, I have something for you. From a bag on the ground, Guy pulled out a strange mechanism with a few weights held in it. Naruto quirked an eyebrow, interested. Weights? Guy-sensei nodded. They are to help increase your youthful power. Please, take them. Naruto took them, and Guy showed him how to fasten them around his calves. Guy continued, you should be steadily increasing the weight. When you don't notice the weight anymore, wait 2 days, and then add one of these to each leg. Guy handed Naruto a bag full of 20-pound weights. When your weight braces are full, come to me. For your fires of youth, I will get you heavier ones. Awesome, thanks Guy-sensei. Naruto grinned. The green beast of Konoha waved him off. It's nothing, Naruto-san. Now come, Lee, Naruto-san. We shall run 200 laps around Konoha. Yes, sensei, the two chorused. Naruto twitched. Wait. Just call me Naruto. And, please don't ever call me your cute student. And, Naruto realized he was being left behind and yelled, ah. Wait for me. Sprinting after the two, Naruto fell back against the ground, exhausted. Before he forgot, he quickly made a clone and sent it to deliver the bag full of weights to his apartment. Guy and Lee looked at Naruto. Both were grinning. Until tomorrow, Naruto. Lee yelled excitedly. Naruto managed a smile back. Yeah, thanks for letting me train with you. Guy-sensei nodded. It was my pleasure to assist you in the growth of your youthfulness. Tomorrow I will watch you burn bright when I demonstrate taijutsu forms. Naruto's smile widened. Excellent. He caught a glimpse of someone approaching. It appears your team is coming. I'd best join my team as well. Standing, Naruto gave a slight bow and left. On the way he brushed past a girl with twin buns on either side of her head. Who's that? He heard her ask Guy-sensei as he disappeared from view. After a bit of Rasengan training, Naruto met his team at the usual clearing. Kurenai-sensei beamed at him when he approached. Naruto, I'm glad you're here. Now we can get started. Ino was, as usual, pestering Sasuke. The raven ignored her and watched Naruto. He looked like he'd been doing hard training. He wouldn't lose to the Dobi. Naruto plopped on the ground next to Ino. The blonde girl wrinkled her nose. Gross, Naruto. You smell horrible. Naruto grunted. As a kunoichi, that should be the last of your worries. Ino. Kurenai sent them both a stern look. All right, enough. As Naruto has already been training, I thought it best we did some training. I have a scroll here for you two. While I speak to Naruto, you two practice these moves. She tossed a scroll to Ino and Sasuke. Turning to Naruto, she gestured for him to follow her. Out of hearing distance she told him, I'm going to put Sasuke and Ino under a simple genjutsu. They won't see anything, nor will anyone else who comes anywhere within sight distance. It's time for you to show me your Kekkei Genkei, Naruto. Naruto nodded his assent. Kurenai performed a quick series of hand seals. All right, before you begin, will you outline the basic concept? The blonde let out a long breath. Fine. My Kekkei Genkei, in a way, is sort of like a stopwatch. When something happens, I can sorta stop time. Fumbling for words, Naruto waved his hands a bit before continuing, it's not all powerful or anything. How far back you can change things is limited by your chakra supply. And if it use it too much, there are consequences. He paused again. This is hard to explain. You know how the blood cells in your body attack foreign things they come across. Basically, if I use my Kekkei Genkei enough on the same person, I become the foreign thing. Whatever is affected by me changing things will unconsciously begin to attack me. I don't mean like, beating me up, though that has happened. It's more like I'm an outsider. They won't trust me, and anything I say will be rejected subconsciously. Naruto's eyes darkened. Is that enough? I don't like using it because of the consequences, so I don't really know much about it yet. It's not like there's scrolls lying around to teach me about it. Kurenai kept her expression neutral. Does it have any other properties? Naruto thought about it. It's a dojutsu. My eyes turn gray. As I haven't used it much, it's possible that it will develop further. Since it was my father's bloodline limit, and I don't have access to his scrolls, I don't know all that much about it, as I said. Kurenai's eyes widened slightly. You know who your father is? I've never even heard of your Kekkei Genkei before now. Naruto realized his blunder and his expression became veiled. I don't want to talk about it, he said simply. Kurenai sighed. I'll respect that. Will you show me now? Naruto grinned, hiding his discomfort. It goes like this. I'm going to say something, jump back in time a bit, and ask you what I said. You'll answer instantly, and this conversation will flood back to you. Naruto closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they were a murky gray color. Clouds. He grinned. It reminded him of Shikamaru. Focusing his mind and chakra, he reached into the time flow. I'm going to put Sasuke and Ino under a genjutsu. They won't see. Naruto interrupted. Clouds. Kurenai paused mid-sentence as she suddenly remembered their whole conversation. That's incredible, she finally said. Naruto only gave her a grim smile. But not very useful when I know next to nothing about it. Are you okay? Sometimes a rush of information like that makes people lightheaded. Kurenai-sensei ruffled Naruto's hair. Don't worry about me, Naruto. Thank you for sharing this with me. I'm going to speak to the Sandaime about finding you more information. It's something you should have access to. Naruto hummed for a moment. I know where to look, but Jii-san won't let me in there. My best guess says it's at the Namikaze complex. Quickly scanning his mind, Naruto came up with an acceptable lie. He was the Yondaime Hokage, so a lot of the classified information is at his estate. Kurenai seemed to buy it. I'll speak to him about it. Naruto couldn't resist a yell of joy. Thank you, sensei. That's so cool. Kurenai laughed. I'll always be happy to help you, Naruto. Is there anything else? Oh, and how did your training with Guy go? Naruto smiled. Thanks. I don't think there's anything else. The training went well. Guy-sensei is, Guy-sensei. He gave me weights. They're already helping. Kurenai snorted. Guy is certainly eccentric. I'm glad he could help you, though. We should get back to Ino and Sasuke now. They'll be getting suspicious. She laughed again. The two headed back to the rest of their team. Sasuke and Ino both stopped what they were doing to watch their approach, curious. Ino was the first to speak up. What were you talking about? Naruto answered for her. I'm training with another sensei in taijutsu in addition to Kurenai-sensei. We were just making arrangements. Ino and Sasuke were both surprised. Naruto was receiving private taijutsu training. From who? Sasuke couldn't contain his curiosity. Maida Guy, one of Konoha's taijutsu specialists. Clearing her throat meaningfully, she added, how are those jutsus coming along? She asked pointedly. Ino laughed nervously. They'll take a few days, sensei. She told Kurenai. The genjutsu specialist just nodded. All right, we won't be sparring today. There are a few things we should talk about before we move on to anything else. Regarding the teamwork sessions, I noticed some things that gave me a bit of worry. Sasuke, you tend to ignore your teammates. While perhaps this is fine outside missions and training, they are still a part of your team and you must act as a unit. Teammates must also have absolute trust and confidence in each other. As a kunoichi, Ino, I'm very disappointed in you. Naruto is a strong ninja, and you constantly insult him, showing you are really the weak one. With Sasuke, you constantly bother and annoy him. Unless you improve yourself, Ino, you will be the death of your team. I'm being very serious here and I expect for you to treat it as such. And Naruto, due to Ino's shortcomings, you underestimate her potential. You're reluctant to share anything of a personal nature with either of your teammates, simply because of your dislike for them. Taking a breath, Kurenai concluded, your teamwork sucks. Until it improves, I'm not allowing you to take any missions. Naruto sighed and nodded. Sasuke seemed livid but he was smart enough not to protest. Ino looked a little green. Since we won't be doing missions, We'll work on fixing our weaknesses as a team. You'll spend time together outside of team sessions. And no, Ino, this does not mean a date. Rolling her eyes, the dark-haired beauty kept going. Today, I want you to spend some time with Naruto. You two barely know each other. If you put aside your presuppositions, I think you would realize you are more alike than you think. Ino and Naruto exchanged looks. Yes, sensei, they chorused. Neither was very happy about this situation. Kurenai seemed satisfied. Good. You are both to take the other to 3 of your favorite places. And Sasuke, your turn will come. Think about where you'd like to go. As for now, enjoy your day off. Oh, and once you've used 3 places, you have to choose 3 different ones for your other teammate. Ino and Naruto, when you finish going to those 6 places, you can head home. Have fun. I'll be going now. Kurenai made a hand seal and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke smirked at them and sauntered away. Rolling his eyes, Naruto turned to Ino. She said to improve our teamwork, so I'll tell you precisely why I don't like you. I don't like you because you suck as a ninja. You're a smart girl, but obviously somewhere along the way you devolved into an idiot fangirl. Sasuke clearly has no interest in you, and yet you squander away your career as a ninja to chase him. I will never understand someone as shallow as you. And unless you shape up, I'll never have any respect for you. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest and frowned at her. If what I just said makes you angry, it's probably because it's all true. If things don't start changing, I'll be finding a different team. I can't work with someone I don't respect in the slightest. Ino's mouth was hanging open. For once, she seemed at a loss for words. Finally she sputtered, Naruto. It's not like you're so great yourself. Sasuke beats you every day. I got better scores than you in the academy. And I may not be the strongest ninja around, but there is no way you can call me weak without fixing your own problems first. You're annoying. You're so average and don't stand out in anything. The only reason you've gotten away with making so much trouble is because your parents aren't around to scold you. In fact, you're lucky. My parents do nothing but nag. I'm under so much pressure from them, and I don't need it from you, loser. Naruto's gaze grew cold, and a painfully icy aura surrounded him. Don't speak such crap when you have no idea what it's like. You know nothing about the pain of being alone. My parents died upon the altar of sacrifice for Konoha. Sometimes I wonder if this village is worth it. Naruto's eyes gained a faraway look. Don't make the mistake of thinking I'm normal. I'm a sacrifice as much as they were. And the fact that you don't understand what I mean only proves my point. Ino chewed her lip. Okay, fine. I'll treat you professionally if you do the same for me. Naruto shook his head. The difference between you and me is I actually act professional. You're just a little girl that gives Kunoichi a bad name. Kurenai-sensei probably picked you for this team to fix you before you disgrace yourself further. If you were a true Kunoichi, you'd understand how lucky you are. No, Ino, I won't treat you like a Kunoichi until you prove you are one. Ino's mouth firmed with anger. Fine, forget being civil. This is why I hate you, Naruto. Ino was shocked when Naruto simply laughed in reply. One more person won't make much difference. Besides, I am being civil. I didn't lie to you. Would you rather I did? He gave her a flat look. Don't answer that. All I'm trying to say is, as my teammate, I don't trust you to watch my back. I'm sure Sasuke would say the same. That's a problem. He grinned slightly. Sasuke's a bastard, but he is a competent ninja. He wants to be strong. Granted, he goes about it the wrong way, but he truly wants to be strong. I don't like him, but I can respect him. The only reason you've survived this long as a ninja is because of your family. Where do you think you'd be if you were like me? Have you even considered it? I don't have family techniques. My parents won't be contacting the academy for private sessions and extra help. Since I was 5 I've lived alone, and I can't just ask for things I need. I have to work for them. Since the teachers hated me, I had to learn to do everything myself. You have no idea how far ahead of you that puts me. But I'm tired of talking about things over your head. Let's get this little side trip over with. Naruto turned and strode away, anger reverberating in his footsteps. Ino grabbed his shoulder roughly. Fine, then. You want me to prove myself. What do I have to do? Naruto didn't turn around, but he stopped walking. Ask Kurenai what you need to improve. If she can't help you, figure out who can. Ino's grip tightened painfully. Fine. I'll join you for taijutsu training at blah o'clock. I'll try harder. I'll do what you say, if it makes sense. But only if you treat me as an equal. Naruto nodded once. If you improve yourself, I'd be happy to. Ino released him. Good. Now where are we going? Ichiraku. We can get lunch and knock out one of my 3 places. Is that okay with you? Naruto turned his blues on her. I guess so. Ino came beside Naruto as they walked. They stepped up to the ramen stall and sat down at the counter. After both had ordered and eaten, they left the stand. Naruto was less grumpy now after a bellyful of his favorite food. Where to? He quizzed her. Ino smiled. My family's flower shop. Naruto winced slightly. Girls and their flowers, he mumbled. Ino's fist crashed down on his head. Just like old times. It's my choice where to go, so you don't get to complain. Now let's go. Naruto rolled his eyes. Yes ma'am, he muttered sarcastically. Ino dragged him along to the shop and in through the door. Dad, I'm here for a quick visit. She yelled, nearly deafening Naruto. Ino's father emerged from the back of the store. Honey. Inoichi Yamanaka beamed at his daughter. What brings you here? Ino tossed her head proudly. I'm improving my teamwork. Naruto came along. She gestured behind her to where the blonde was standing. Naruto waved. Yo. He didn't bother introducing himself, he never did. Everyone knew him on sight, after all. It's why he never made friends. Inoichi's lips quirked downward somewhat. The Kyuubi brat is my daughter's teammate. Hello, Uzumaki-san. I am Ino's father, Inoichi Yamanaka. It is nice to meet one of Ino's teammates. Naruto could tell he was lying. It was obvious. He was an accomplished liar, after all. Likewise, he said simply. Inoichi's face twitched slightly. Well, I'm sure you don't want to be chatting with me, so please feel free to look around. Wrapping his fingers around his daughter's wrist, he yanked her away. Ino, can I speak with you for a moment? Naruto sighed. I'll be outside, he murmured, voice strangely subdued. He seemed smaller as he left the store. Ino gave her father a quizzical look. Something up, Dad. Stay away from that boy, Ino. He's bad news. Inoichi released his daughter and went into the back of the flower shop, leaving her staring confusedly at his back. Huh, well that was strange. Guess I'd best get going. Ino joined Naruto outside. He was staring off into space with a faraway look again. Hey, Naruto. Sorry about that. My dad wasn't feeling too well. She didn't know why she was making excuses, but it felt like the right thing to do for some reason. Naruto simply sighed. It's all right, Ino. I'm used to it. You don't have to lie for him. We're going to the Hokage monument next. He led the way. They climbed the monument and sat on the Yondaime's head. Ino was curious. Why is this your favorite place? Naruto was staring out at Konoha. It reminds me of what is really important. The wind picked up, and Ino stared out at Konoha. She was interrupted from her thoughts when Naruto spoke up again. Nay, Ino, do you have a dream? She turned to look at him. He was still staring into the distance. I don't really know what I want to do yet. She admitted. I don't think I've found my niche. I don't know what to specialize in yet. What about you? Naruto finally looked at her. If you'd asked me a few years ago, I would have said, to be Hokage. But I've come to realize just how much responsibility that entails, and I don't know that I love this village enough to be able to pull it off. I've changed my goal to becoming a seal master. Seal master? Wow, I don't think I've ever known one. It must be difficult. Wasn't the Yondaime one? Ino's brow wrinkled in concentration. Naruto's faint laugh barely carried to her. The Yondaime was a seal master, yes. Irony colored his voice. Shaking his head, he lapsed into silence. You know, Naruto, as much as I hated you this morning, I think Kurenai-sensei was right. We really don't know each other. Granted, I still think you're annoying. But, I guess Sasuke is a little bit, too. Naruto faked a gasp. Comparing me to your precious Sasuke-kun. He phrased it as a joke, but his tone was definitely not very lighthearted. Ino didn't seem to notice. Shut it, we're going to the park next. Naruto frowned slightly. Which park? The south one. Why? Ino put her hands on her hips, ready to scold him if he complained. Naruto grinned slightly. That's my third place. Ino stared at him. You like the park, isn't that, you know, kinda more of a girl thing? Naruto scowled at her. You'll see when we get there. And not once in my life have I ever been accused of being girly, so can it. Sasuke's way more girly than I am. Ino growled. Fine, let's just go, loser. Naruto couldn't hide the slightest tensing of his facial muscles, but luckily Ino wasn't a very observant person. He followed her to the park, and around to her favorite spots. When they got to the garden, she stopped. This is it. I love coming here. The flowers are so beautiful and so well cared for. Naruto scowled. Whatever. He didn't see the appeal in flowers. Ino strolled along by the flower bed for a few minutes, admiring the colors. When she looked up, Naruto had disappeared. After searching for a few minutes, she found him near the playground, surrounded by kids. He looked up as she drew closer and rubbed the back of his head, grinning. Hey. Sorry, they kinda dragged me off. This is Konohamaru, Udon, and Moegi. Guys, this is my teammate, Ino. Ino smiled. The kids looked cute. Hi, what are you playing? Ninja. Moegi piped up, beaming at her. Ino sent Naruto a strange look. A ninja playing ninja with kids? She questioned. Naruto simply smiled. Why not? It's fun. We teach each other some things. Kids can think of so many things I can't. But as I was saying, Konohamaru, I can't play with you right now, because I'm on a mission. Konohamaru's eyes lit up. A mission? What kind of mission, boss? Can I help? Naruto grinned and ruffled Konohamaru's hair. Top secret, kid. With a conspirator's wink, he added, but if you're really good today, I'll tell you next time. Ino smiled. Naruto was really good with kids. Perhaps because he acted like such a kid sometimes. Konohamaru grinned brightly back at Naruto. You got it, boss. We'll be good. The Konohamaru corps scurried off into the distance, most likely to find their parents. Naruto smiled somewhat wistfully after them. So now you've seen my 3 places. Where to next? Ino smiled mischievously. My favorite store. Naruto's jaw dropped. Oh, no, tell me you're joking. Anything but that. Ino shook her head, grin growing wider. Nope. Let's go. She dragged him off. Reaching the store, she also dragged him inside. Look at this plethora of purple. She exclaimed, looking around like she'd discovered gold. Yeah, it's impressive. Naruto stared around in horror. She should have saved this one for Sasuke. He'd have loved it. Every single thing in the store was purple. Except for Naruto, of course. I think my eyes died. Naruto lamented to the fox, who ignored him. Ino spent nearly 30 minutes sorting through all the purple merchandise before she finally left the store, huge bag in hand. That was so much fun. She squealed. Naruto looked slightly sick. Well, we're done now. I'm leaving. Bye. And he ran.